Well, so this seems to be a tagline that we've had a bunch of times. The perils of doing live TV. When you're talking and your mic is muted. So, hang on. Rewind the clock. And let's go one more time. We're back! Part 2! And you have found the internet's least watched favorite show with a particularly good reason, because, the host can't operate his microphone. This is the BYB Insider, and I'm your host, the duly aforementioned Big Guy. So all that spiel, you heard nothing but a bunch of miming and talking here. Great job by me. So much for yet another flawless show. Oh well. Live TV, nothing you can do about it, kids. But here we go. So we went through the saga. The saga that was last week, and our biggest enemy, the BYB's number one enemy, has come back to rear his ugly head. That's right, kiddies. ESPN and their buddies, the Screwjob, has come back to haunt the BYB. Its victim this time, unfortunately, is our good buddy, Charlie Brown. We reported last week that Charlie Brown broke the streak. Not only broke the streak, broke the losing streak as well, but unfortunately, ESPN had different ideals. They broke out the screw job on Charlie, and Mick Evans slid over to grab the win. So, sorry about that, Charlie. We went over it a bunch of times, and it is what I said it was earlier, but you didn't hear. Sorry, buddy. The ESPN screw job, full effect. But so once again, let's try this as we may. It's week 7, kiddies. Let's dive into the scores. Let's find out who's going to win and who's tasting the ugly ale. So we're going to start it off. It's the Foreplay Boys and the Revolution. Let's take it over to the Revolution side. And as we dive inside the box scores, it's Lamar Jackson doing what Lamar Jackson do. 22 points, but David Johnson,
the House of Pain,
only 2 carries and left the game with nothing to show for it. Aaron Jones, though, and Tyler Lockett trying to pick up the slack, but Will Fuller, only 1 point to show for his efforts, but Gerald Everett and the defense with Joey Bosa. What a baby. 16 points. So good. The Foreplay Boys come up with an answer. Well, as we dive inside the box scores, we got Moon Rivers with 25 points. Le'Veon, though, leaving it kind of hanging out there. And Austin Eckler, though, he is bringing the lumber. Bull of the Woods, 24 points, but Galladay left it short, and Delaney Walker, what? Nothing there, and the rest of the team couldn't come up with much, and it will lead to a disaster as the Revolution take out the Foreplay Boys, 115.5 to 107. We're moving on. It's going to be the Guild of Calamitous Intent and Tommy Quick's 3 limp centimeters. Let's take it over to the Guild side, and let's see if Michael can flim-flam his way into another win. As we dive inside the box scores, Deshaun Watson and the returning Saquon Barkley was going to try to do their part, but Carlos Hyde, no. But hey, Amari is returned to the lineup as well, 15 points, and Allen Robinson shotgunning his way to 24 points. But Tyler Higbee and the rest of the team left it kind of hanging. So can Tommy Quick and his 5 limp centimeters come up with an answer? And in a word, no. But Tom Brady did have 12 points, and the rest of the team is just mediocre. And yes, it's a ghost town for Tommy Quick, and Brandon McManus, -1? No. And it will lead to disaster for Tommy Quick as the Guild Boys get by with another one. 98 to 91. We're moving on. It's going to be the 6 Kitties and Jared Taylor's Stone Cold Locks. Let's take it over to Jared's side of things. And as we dive inside the box scores here, guys, no. Daniel Jones, only 9 points. Chris Carson, only 9 points. Philip Lindsay with nothing. Michael Thomas, though, he is still a man and a half. 22 points for him, but the rest of the team just could not show up. And as we flip it around, let's see if Larry Dameron had any kind of answer whatsoever. And, no. No, not at all. But Kyler Murray did get 6 points out of the deal, but Josh Jacobs, he's a man and a half, scoring points and a half. 16. Tevin Coleman leaving it hanging. Robert Woods, no. But Darren Waller and Blake Martinez and the defense come and save the day, and it leads Larry Dameron to get over 117.5 to 93, and we pick up these comments from Larry.
Well, it did feel good to beat Sweet Pea, the Corn Dog, Jared Taylor. However, this is more of a warning. Fellas, if we keep giving Brian these close losses, we're going to end up in the ER again with another heart attack. You know this, right? So, when you beat him, whip his ass good.
Shots fired, shots fired, shots fired. We're moving on. It's the A-Team and Get Off My Dicka. And let's take this over to the Dicka side of things. And as we dive into the box scores, it's going to be Jared Goff and Ezekiel Elliott. 28 and 26 respectively. James White hanging it, and Adam Thielen, though, found himself in
The House of Pain.
pulled his hammy on the way into the end zone, but still cranked down 9 points. Emmanuel Sanders in his last bit for the Denver Broncos before he found himself waking up in San Francisco this morning. Danny Tanner with 11. Dallas Goddard with 13. Luke Kuechly, I guess, I guess we want to chalk this up to a good linebacker. It's hard to find. Whatever. Anyway, back to the box scores. The rest of the team kind of hanging it up there, but Greg the Leg. 14 points for Greg the Leg. Could the A-Team boys come up with anything to help their cause? And in a word, Josh Allen, hello. 25 points. Leonard Fournette with 16. Stephon Diggs, 21 points. But the rest of the team kind of came mediocre, and it left the door open as the Dicka boys was able to squeak it out. 118.5 to 112. Tough loss for the A-Team. And we're going to be moving on here. It is Turn Down for What and the aforementioned Charlie Brown and the Let Me Kick boys. Let's take it over to the Turn Down for What side. And as we dive inside the box scores here, say hello, Matt Stafford. Dalvin Cook with 27. And DeAndre is back, baby. Cortland Sutton as well, 14 points. Big scores here. Frank Clark, Logan Ryan in the defense, and 10 points out of the kicker. That, my friends,
House of Pleasure.
You darn right. That is good living. And Charlie Brown, with all of his issues, would Charlie have any kind of answer here? And in a word, no. Not at all. Matt Ryan, before he landed in,
The House of Pain.
only 1 point. Royce Freeman, though, showed up with 16. And Abby John Brown, 19 points. Alden Tate. And finally, I make this call for the first time in forever. Superstar Jimmy Graham with 16 points. And Chandler Jones balling out with 27 points. Folks, I think it's safe to say that the scoreless streak is over, but unfortunately, it just wasn't enough for Charlie to pull this one out as he loses a heartbreaker. 151 to 121, and we're going to go now to the game of the week. It's the defending world champion Shockmasters. They're up against the Cardiac Kids. And let's take it over to the Cardiac Kids side as we dive inside the box scores. Carson Wentz, 5 points. Todd Gurley Man with 12. And Derrick Henry clocking down 17. And Julio's down by the schoolyard with 15. But Christian Kirk, no. Austin Hooper with 14, and Darius Leonard bringing some defensive help, but not much to be had over there. Let's take it to the other side, and could the Shockmasters have any kind of answer for them? And in a word, well, kinda. Except Patrick Mahomes.
The House of Pain.
Dislocated kneecap, and it's left the future of the defending champs in doubt. Only 9 points, but Sony Michel on Monday night finally showing up with 23 points, but Melvin Gordon, they're sending out search parties now. Tyreek Hill cranked down 16, but the old man by the river, Larry Fitzgerald, just couldn't find enough, and the rest of the team left it hanging, and it leads to a heartbreaker as the Cardiac Kids cardiac their way to a win, 96 to 95.5. And we pick up these comments from the defending champ.
Papa Squat right here next to the champ, because we've got a little story to tell. You see, there seems to be a lot of naysayers and people in the media that's worried about the Detroit Shockmasters and their place, and will the injury to our star quarterback injure our chances to repeat. They seem to be very worried about this. But you see, we in Detroit have the next man up mentality. We don't worry about scrubs, and we don't worry about the media. Because you see, when you listen to the media, chances are you're going to end up sitting on the set right next to them out of a job. And when you listen to scrubs, you end up with records like them. Which is why I don't listen to them. I listen to myself. And you see, when you listen to yourself, that's how you end up dripping solid gold like our beloved Motown artists. So we're not worried, especially with Mr. Russell Wilson, the #1 rated quarterback, ready to take his place among the echelon of great Detroit ball players. So we're going to be just fine. And that's good for us. And bad for you. Maybe you should have took me up on the trade when I was trying to give him away for a 15-point game running back. But chance favors the prepared mind, so haters gotta hate, I reckon. It's all good in the hood. Because you see, that's why I'm the champ. And you're not. And it's been your pleasure. Bye now.
What an ass. Anyway, if I were that guy and Patrick Mahomes sitting on the shelf for any length of time, I would worry. But there will be no should we worry segment for this show because this show is done. But before we go away, it's time to take a gander over to the standings. And off we go to the NFL side. So the Shockmasters sitting at 5-2 with the hard luck loss, but they still cling to a one-game lead over the A-team thanks to their loss. The Cardiac Kids 3-4 big interdivisional winning against the Shockmasters, and Charlie Brown bringing it up at 2-5. And as we go down to the XFL, we see the Revolution, who is now tied for the best mark in BYB. The rookie of all people, knocking it down with a 5-2, but Larry Dameron's 6 Kitties right on the heel at 4-3. And Jacob still hanging around. He's sliding down the rankings, but he's still there within contention. And somebody who's not, Tommy Quick. And as we slide on over to the AFL side and take a look, we got Thomas or Beaver, or, well, any way you want to cut it, they're tied. How about that? 4-3. They're also tied with Mickey Evans out of nowhere. 4-3 for Michael. And Jarrett Taylor with a hard luck loss. He's still hanging around, but it's not looking good at 2-5. So there you have it. Week 7's in the books. Kind of coming together. You know, if I remember to unmute my mic, this show might actually get better. Maybe. But the one thing I know for sure that it can get better. Hey, we want to hear from you, BYB Nation. Send them in. Send in these videos. You want to talk smack like Basden and Dameron? Nothing to it. We want to hear you. So send in your smack talk, and get in here, get involved. Let's hear what you got to say, man, because the big guy will put you on the show and make you a star, because that's what we do here on the BYB Insider. We make stars that nobody ever will see. But for this episode, that's going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you right back here. Or we won't. Either way, it's whatever. So you all have a good night, and we will see you right back here next Wednesday. Peace!